A noise gate is one of those pedals where you know you kind of need it, but you don't want to spend the money on one. Kind of like a tuner pedal. This is the Donner Soph Gate. It's an intelligent noise gate and effects loop pedal that gives you noise-free and full dynamic performance. So essentially, it gets rid of all that unwanted crackling and static noise that you get from distortion and overdrive pedals, as well as high gain amplifiers. Now, I've done Donner pedal demos, both sponsored and unsponsored. And every time I'm always blown away, mainly because these are super affordable pedals and they genuinely sound great. At least all the ones I've tried and demoed, and if you want to check them all out after watching this video, I'll link them in the description. So with that being said, this is a sponsored video, but I was more than delighted to do so because I've heard a lot of great things about the Soph Gate and I want to see if it holds up. Even though that it is sponsored, you will still be getting my completely honest thoughts and opinions a little later during the wrap up of this video. Now, to really get an idea if I like this pedal and if I should recommend it to you, I'm going to run it through some tests, like to see if it affects your tone at all, see how responsive and quick it is, and other things like that. But before I do all that, I first want to jump right into what each knob does, as well as some sound examples so you can hear what really happens when the knobs are adjusted. So the threshold knob tells you and controls how much level is needed to open or start the noise gate. Now, I'm assuming the levels will be different for different setups and pedals, but for me, when it's turned all the way up, no sound comes out at all, so you have to dial it back until you reach a level where you could hear your guitar when you're playing, and when you stop, the noise gate takes care of that unwanted noise. So that's how you can find where this knob should be for your particular setup, and here is an example of what I just talked about. Now for the attack knob, this controls the time that it takes for the gate to open back up, which also means when you start to play again after the noise gate does its thing when you aren't playing. So for example, if it's dialed all the way up, it takes a lot longer, and when you hit a note, it won't immediately come through. It almost sounds like a really crappy volume swell, and here's an example of what I'm talking about. So when you dial it back, you can find the sweet spot where once you pluck a note, you immediately hear it come through and there's no issues with your attack. For me, I dialed in pretty far back to get it right, but like I said earlier, it will depend on your setup. Moving on to the return knob, this sets the difference between the threshold level that opens the gate and the level that closes it. So what that means is if dialed all the way up, the gate will pretty much not work and you will hear the noise still. So for this one, I dial it back until you no longer hear that unwanted noise. And to be honest, this is the only knob where once you reach the point of no noise, if you keep dialing it back, nothing will really change. But that's really not a bad thing because it does what it's supposed to do. Now, last but not least, the release knob. This just controls the time it takes for the gate to fully close after the signal falls. So pretty much if dialed all the way up, the noise goes away slower and it trails off slowly. When dialed back, it'll be much faster or completely cut off. I forgot to mention the switch in the middle. This controls the minimum amount of time that the gate stays open, and it speaks for itself because you have quick on the top and then push down, it's slow. The quick will obviously get rid of that noise faster, and the slow will take a little bit more time, 100 milliseconds slower to be exact, whereas the quick is 1 millisecond. Here's a quick example of that. Let's now run this pedal through some tests, and we will start with the light and soft picking test. This will show us how responsive it is with the lightest and softest touch. Will it immediately pick up my light plucking, or will it have some issues with the attack? Let's find out. So first thing, this is what it sounds like with the Soph Gate off. And this is with it on. Now, if I were to pluck harder with a pick, the responsiveness is pretty quick. But now let's test it by just using our fingers and playing very, very light to see how it responds now. Now let's compare that to the Soph Gate off. Back on now. Now there actually is a pretty big difference when the soft gate is off. You can really hear the dynamics of when I'm playing very, very soft and light. And when the soft gate is on, you can sort of hear it fade in and maybe struggle a little bit with the responsiveness. But I'm gonna bring back the attack knob a little bit more and see if that changes it. Now that actually sounds much, much better, but the attack knob is fully at 0, so it's not being used at all. When you completely roll off the attack knob, it does work, but will it sound the same as if the soft gate was off? Probably not. But honestly, this really isn't that big of a deal, only because if you're using a lot of distortion and overdrive, it's very rare that you're going to be playing super, super light with a super soft touch with your fingers or anything like that. Most of the time when you have an overdrive or distortion pedal cranked, you're really wailing on some solos, some heavy rock chords, and you're using a pick as well. And like we heard earlier, the responsiveness was great when we used a pick and we played normal or hard. And if you are one who likes to play very, very soft with a lighter touch, I highly doubt that you're going to be using this much overdrive anyway, so you're really not going to need a soft gate pedal. So to go back to what I was saying, yes, it can definitely work if you play that lighter, softer touch. Just make sure that the attack knob is rolled all the way off. The next test, we will see how quick this pedal responds to our playing, and in this case, also our not playing. Now I have to say that this is an extremely and impressively quick noise gate pedal. I've heard other people and reviews say that it's one of the fastest that they've used, but I'm actually just very happy with the responsiveness. Now for the last test, let's see if it affects our tone. Now obviously if you have the knobs dialed in pretty hard, it will definitely affect it, but you would never really do that, so let's test it with it being dialed in perfectly for my setup. I really don't hear much of a difference or any difference at all, so I definitely think it passes the test. And to be honest with you, I kind of already knew this only because it is a true bypass, so most of the time that will help with keeping your tone. I just wanted you to hear it for yourself. Now with the noise gate pedal with these 4 knobs, it can give you a wide range of different sounds for different genres of music. So depending on what you're playing, you can dial in different knob combinations to best fit that particular sound or style you're going for. This pedal can also be placed and used for other things other than a noisy distortion pedal. You can use it for guitar noise reduction. You can also use it with a sidechain setup and even a 4-cable method sidechain when you're using the high gain channel on your amp. It'll do different things depending on its placement, but in the examples I used today, most of you will use it just for that. So for my final and honest thoughts, the Donner Softgate is really good, especially for the price. You may get a little bit more clarity and responsiveness with a more expensive noise gate pedal, maybe around $200 to $300, but honestly, who wants to spend or can afford that much for a noise gate pedal? The difference between this $70 Softgate and a more expensive one, I bet, does not have that much of a difference, and most definitely not $200 worth of a difference. This pedal can do everything you need it to, and if you're a rock, metal, or high gain player, this pedal is 100% for you. If you're interested in getting one for yourself, you can use the link in the description where you will also find a special discount code just for you, so you can get it even cheaper. Thank you to Donner for sponsoring this video, and if you want to see more reviews and gear demos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Also, if there's any gear that you would like to see me demo, let me know it down in the comments, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one, and always remember to keep on playing.